Welcome to this web seminar of the 7S framework of McKinsey. The 7S framework is a framework which we always use in the internal analysis of a business plan. It's being used to define the strengths and weaknesses of the organization. It's ensuring that all parts of your organization work in harmony. They all connect to the shared values of the company. This is why it's being used. It was invented in the 1980s by Tom Peters and Robert Waterman, and obviously of the McKinsey consultancy group. So it determines the strengths and the weaknesses of your organization. So if we see in our the different steps that we have in our business plan, it's being used in this micro-analysis, in the internal analysis, and there we find the strengths and the weaknesses which eventually go to your SWOT analysis. So, what's the purpose, to be precise? It determines strengths and weaknesses in your company. It helps you to prepare for future effects or changes within your company. It also aligns the departments and the processes within your company. Also, the value chain of Porter is something that really connects to this 7S framework. You can use them both next to each other. And it searches the possibilities when you are implementing, for instance, a proposed strategy, or when you are thinking about a new strategy. It really searches for those possibilities, what your organization can handle. The model looks like this. We have obviously 7 S's in this model, and good to know is that we have a line in the middle, and the top part, often called hardware, and the lower part is being called software. Why do we call it hardware and software? Because software is something that you can change a little bit more easy than hardware. Hardware is more fixed. For instance, systems are kind of fixed. Your structure is kind of fixed, whilst the skills or the management style of managers can be changed more easy. This is why we make the difference between hardware and software. So, what does every S mean? Let's dive into that. Obviously, it's all about the shared values in the middle. It's the vision that unites and challenges and gives direction to all the people working in your business, in your organization. And we all have to feel these shared values, and we also have to communicate these shared values. Please bear in mind that there are no figures containing the shared values. They are all motivational drivers, if you want to call it like that. And it makes the former, which I just mentioned, more achievable. So statements of shared values are meaningless unless they are supported by other drivers that operationalize them. So the first of this one is strategy. Strategy has to be consumer-led. It's a deep recognition throughout the company that achieving the vision depends on meeting the needs of customers more effectively than the competitors. Obviously, in your internal analysis, all the analysis that you do is your own company compared to that of the competition. So you have a strength compared to the competition, or you have a weakness compared to the competition. And this is something which is really important. Is your strategy better or distinguishes itself from the competition? Is it different? Does it differentiate? Structure refers to how people are organized to work together. For instance, emphasis on empowerment, or reducing financial barriers, or delayering and encouraging knowledge workers to network widely. These all could be parts of your structure. So how are these items, which are probably important for your organization, how are these known by your workers, and how are they structured around these parts which your company finds really important? Systems, also hardware. Systems refer to how information moves around the organization and how it networks with your partners. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is something that also has something to do with your value chain. So always use the value chain next to a model like the 7S model. Information technology with links of customers, distributors, or other supply chain partners. That's a major source of advantage for several companies. Not all companies, for several companies. So they use it to take out costs and achieve outstanding customer responsiveness. Staff, the first of the software skills. Staff concerns the background and the culture of people who work in your organization. Successful companies, for instance, generally attract and socialize staff so that they are relatively similar in attitudes. So they really have this team spirit and they can create the team spirit. And they share a common outlook that also reflects the company's values eventually. Then skills, the skills of your staff. They are distinctive capabilities that the people possess and which are the basis for the firm's ability to create a differential advantage. For instance, if you take Google, they have outstanding skills in measurement and computing and the algorithms that they use. Now these are typical skills which are really important, which workers have, which employees have in mind and they know how to work with. So if you have a lot of skills, then that's a really strong point in your organization. Now the last one, style, also a software matter. Style refers to the behavior of the top management and in particular how effectively they communicate the values and priorities of the organization. So let's resume. These shared values in the middle are all being fed by the S's surrounding them. They all fill those shared values, and if all S's know a lot of strengths, then they really connect to the shared values and your shared values will go up. In all my webinars, I really like to dive into the model, how to use it in practice. So let's have a look at that. How to use it. Analyze, first of all, every S. Compare the current situation as best as you can with the competition. Everything that you do in your internal analysis has to be compared to the competition. Otherwise, you're not being fair for yourself. Write down your brief analysis and try to use the facts. Yes, so for instance, if you have a modern or an up-to-date system, this is a fact. If you have a high level of education, then this is a fact. These are often really good to write down and you can prove that you are strong in this factor. End every paragraph with the matter of development or the degree of development is low or high or strong or weak or average. This gives you a conclusion sort of this typical S. Draw a final conclusion and highlight which S needs to develop, because you can be strong always in every S. This is normal. This is why you do your internal analysis, to find your weaknesses and your strengths. Now obviously you also have weaknesses. The model, make no mistake, comes back in your operational plan, because in your analysis you make note of that some S's are not really strong developed, so you have to improve those. You have to give an advice. You do that in your 6th step of this model, which I'm showing you now. This last step is where you let the 7S model come back with your advice, how to improve on this S. So it looks a little bit like this. So for staff, you write this small paragraph and you end matter of development, strong. Or with skills, matter of development, weak. And then you could color the model. You can highlight some of your S's, like green is positive, this strong, orange is neutral or heads up, whilst the red ones are really something that you have to improve. So I hope that you found this webinar efficient for you and that you can use the 7S model a little bit better now. Please watch all my other videos as well to learn more about strategic modeling. Please subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with new webinars that I give you, and like if you like this video. And if you have any suggestions on strategical models which you really like a webinar of, please leave it in the comments below or leave any other comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much. Till next time.